वर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्य वचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितं लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पंकजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। 45. Which chapter? That's good. त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् यावानर्थ उदपाने यावानर्थ उदपाने. What happened? Yeah. No, the udapane somehow did not come out. Let's try that again. Yavanartha udapane Yavanartha udapane Sarvatas samplutodake Sarvatas samplutodake Tavan sarveshu vedeshu Tavan sarveshu vedeshu Brahmanas Brahmanasya vijanatah.
Brahmanasya vijanatah.
Let me hear the ha in Brahmana. Yes, yeah. That's the way to lose weight. Yeah, you have to pronounce all the Mahapranas. Then you can have gobs of ghee and nothing will happen. You know? Yeah, that's how the Pandits do it. Yavanartha udapane.
Yavanartha udapane.
Sarvatas samplutodake.
Sarvatas samplutodake.
Tavan sarveshu vedeshu.
Tavan sarveshu vedeshu.
Brahmanasya vijanatah.
Brahmanasya vijanatah.
Flawless. Wonderful. So these are kind of paired together. That's why we chanted them together. The first one is coming after a tirade which we went through 2 weeks ago. What happened last week? Retreat was there. So therefore, all these regular classes were skip ed. And so now last 2 weeks ago we saw that there was a Lord Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna was on a tirade. There were 5 or 6 verses bashing up those people. Who are these people? Who are into bhoga and aishwarya. They are prasaktaha. Prasaktaha means prakarshena siktaha. You know, saktaha. Not siktaha also you can take. Fully immersed. And saktaha means fully, embroiled. Yeah, that's the word. Prasakta means embroiled. In only 2 things. Only 2 things? What are those 2 things? Sanskrit, please. Bhoga and Aishwarya. Pleasure and power. Correct. Bhoga and Aishwarya. Bhoga, pleasure. Aishwarya, power. Overlordship. So this is all what they want. And why are we saying they? This is what everyone wants until one has discrimination. And until one has that eka buddhi, which was talked about earlier, Sankhya buddhi, until it comes. The buddhi of discrimination. One has to discern what really one wants, and until then this is all what one wants. And seeking pleasure is useless. Why? Because that's really not what I want. Number 1. Seeking pleasure is also useless. Number 2, because after seeking it, I don't stop seeking. Yeah. I neither become a Sikh nor stop seeking. Being a Sikh is good. Sikh means Shishya. It is a derivation of Shishya. So, the Shakara in Punjabi language is replaced by Kha. Shishya becomes Sikhya and then Sikh, short form. Purusha becomes Purukh. Yeah, that Shakara is replaced by Khakara. That is how it is. So, the person neither becomes a Shishya nor becomes a person who is, contemplative, introspective. Instead, what does the person become? The person becomes resentful because, full of resentment because whatever the person was seeking is neither pleasure nor power. Because they don't fulfill the person. Why? They are finite. So for these reasons, pleasure and power leave one high and dry. But that doesn't mean that everybody knows this, and that also doesn't mean that everybody has given up those pursuits. Why? Because, look at how many people in the world, right now so many Vedanta classes may be going on. Correct? We have one right now here, and and we may be having one in Russia, possible. We may be having one somewhere elsewhere in Europe, in England perhaps. We may be having one in Australia, one in Africa, in African continents, a few classes. In India, of course, Vedanta is being taught. So many Gita classes, let us say, are happening. And you count all the attendees. Okay, I'll give you a larger piece of rope. Count also the people taking it online. Here, there, everywhere. Okay? And then what is that ratio of that population compared to the population of the earth? Think about that. Yeah. So this is what is being talked about here. In the last few verses, the tirade was based on this alone. And what was the tirade based on? The tirade was based on all these people, these teeming millions of people who are unable to what? To commit to themselves. And even though they are searching for themselves, they are going about it in a roundabout way, and they are looking for themselves in what? In the anatma. This is what it is. So in fact, taya apahrita chetasam, their chetas, their their faculties, inner faculties, whether it be thinking, emoting faculties, have been apahrita. Apahrita means kidnapped. Yeah. Apa is a bad upasarga. Whenever apa comes, that means bad news. Hrita, taken away. Apahrita, taken away badly, meaning kidnapped. They have been kidnapped. Their minds have been kidnapped and hijacked by these desires for pleasure and power. In fact, the desires are running them. And so therefore, even though it's finite, even though they are exhausted, they haven't exhausted their search. That is what it is. And not only that, it's boring to go for a movie alone. It's boring to go out to a restaurant alone. I mean, you go to any restaurant and, first they will ask what? They'll give you menu. And then they will say, how many people, sir? How many people, madam? They will ask, how many people? Because they'll see this, soul, this Kaivalya person. Kaivalya means only. So they will see this person and they will assume, because these are things people do in groups. You don't go alone, And so they will assume that some other people are coming on their own in another car later and they're going to join you. So they have sent you, because you are very obliging, to hold a table until the rest of the party arrives. This is what they assume. So how many people, sir? How many people, madam? And you say one, They are very polite. They are paid to be polite. Especially the higher the scale of the restaurant, they are paid to have the poker face, Poker face means you don't show what you're seeing. You don't show all the aces in your hand. Don't transfer to your face. That's how the expression poker face comes. So you don't, they are very well schooled. But they will definitely you will be one of the people they talk about after work. Guaranteed. So if you go like that, correct? So nobody does that. Very rarely do people go by themselves to what is really a group activity. It is a group activity because there is a certain, first of all, you need somebody to entertain you and vice versa. You become the entertainment, starting with your clothes, to the next person. To the next person. So not only is that the case is also something else. What else is there? Because here, these are all necessarily group pursuits, because there is a certain feeling of happiness because the other person is also pursuing the same thing. That becomes the basis for all these friendships, support groups, and what are those things called? Tupperware parties, and so many things, activities that are done in groups. This is what it is. And there is the kind of a dubious happiness based on the fact that I may be completely deluded, but so is everyone else around me. So, more power, more pleasure, here I come. I may be completely deluded. In fact, I'm convinced that I am. Just, some time just before I go to bed and sleep comes in that quiet space, I think this is all crazy. But then I quickly replace that with the thought, But it is okay because so and so and so and so and so and so are all in it. We are all in it together. Ironically, the same is true of Vedanta also. First you say, why I'm only going? Then you look at some other woe-begone faces, and then you say, okay, they are also there. And then online you say, okay, I'm not the only one. There are few other people, And then this is how everyone, this is the human nature. This is how everyone takes heart, at least in the beginning, in Vedanta. That is very important, So this is a very, very important. And even parents, when the student goes and tells, I'm joining a 3-year course, the parent guardian will ask how many other useless people are also joining the course. This is what every parent wants to know. So therefore, because because for the people into the pleasure and power as everything in the universe, they're not in the least bit attracted to this. You drag them to Vedanta class and make them sit, they will run away. This is what it is, And what about the people interested in Vedanta? They will stay. Occasionally they'll go to sleep. That's but here, forget going to sleep, they cannot even sit in the class. Okay? This is the situation. So for such people, this we've already seen this tirade, that they are neither here nor there, because pleasure and power they keep pursuing. Pleasure and power is like a carrot on a stick in front of the donkey that is running. Correct? Donkey being the not seeker of freedom, Aishwarya, seeker of Aishwarya and seeker of, Bhoga. Yeah. Bhubukshu, not mumukshu. So for the bhubukshu, bhoktumichu, yeah. So for the bhoktumichu, for the one who is desirous of bhoga, bhubukshu. For the bhubukshu, don't confuse it with mumukshu, okay? Yeah, for the bhubukshu, the pleasure and power is like a carrot. And if you don't like carrots, you can replace it with a carrot cake, whatever it is. At the end of a stick, which the donkey is running, donkey is equal to bhubukshu, okay? Yeah, so the bhubukshu is also running and you can never catch that carrot or that carrot cake. This is what was pointed out. So now in this verse, let us see the meaning. Arjuna is actually taught very beautifully. The teaching is taking a slight left turn here, left turn or right turn, whichever turn, some turn, because we are changing topics after these two verses. So these are two transitional verses, as we had already seen when I mapped out the second chapter for you. So what are they transiting from and to? They are transiting from this whole, pack mentality. Wolf pack mentality. There are certain pack animals. Elephants come in packs, wolves come in packs, and then what? What's its name? The lions, the big cats, lions, tigers, they go in packs. And bhubukshus also come in packs. Yeah, you can't be a bhubukshu by yourself, because you have to have a few other people. So therefore, this pack mentality of milking the Vedas for what? For pleasure and power. How do you milk the Vedas for pleasure and power? Which part of the Veda we are talking about? First portion of the Veda. Karma Kanda. The Karma Kanda is full of gems. What kind of gems? Pleasure and power. That's all it's about. Wish-fulfilling gems. How to get whatever you want in this life. How to get children. Then there is several homas for having children. Then after that the person realizes, oh my God, why did I go and do this? And then they do a homa for what to do, how to not be affected by the children. Because once you how to have peace of mind in spite of having children. Then the next homa. After that, how to go about increasing your assets. And then you go about increasing your assets. And then after that what? How to get better sleep at night, because with the assets increase also, anxiety also comes for free, because what to do with so much money? What if I take it away? Should I keep it under the mattress? No, but that's the first place they look, under the mattress. No, I should have a loose floorboard, and even that is not a possibility. Then you keep hiding the money, taking it out and hiding it, and then that's when the robber sees you and sees also the latest hiding place. This is what the whole thing is. Should I bury it? Should I do this? And so all this. So then, after doing Lakshmi Shri Sukta Homa for increasing the assets, and then what? Then you do a Homa for quietening the mind and for anxiety to go. First you do a homa then another time you do a homa so that I want to get married. I'm not finding anyone to get married. And okay, so there is one marriage homa. For getting married, there is one homa. Yeah, Vishnu Sayujya Homa. Because Vishnu maintains things, Yeah. And Vishnu Sayujya Homa is there, and then you do that, and then you get married, and then after that, what? Samvada Sukta Homa, how to get along with the one I have married. So like this, the first portion of the Veda is rife with all these formulas. And the person who, and the Vedas are here, what is that? Metaphor for other formulas, even if you are using in the world. Other formulas. So many formulas are there, your own made up formulas. So all this comes under this discussion. So all these things you have, and then the people are milking the last drop of the first portion of the Vedas. Every Homa they have tried. There is even a Homa for how to have the kind of birth next life. Because in this life you see it's gone. It's a gone case. I haven't done anything. I haven't achieved anything. And this life I had so many wants that are unfulfilled. I wanted to be born in a rich family. But what happened? I was not born in a rich family. I wanted to be a woman, but I was a man, or vice versa. And then what? I wanted to have all these things and nothing happened. And so, there is even one Homa to assure that my next life is better than this life. Namaha, correct? Yeah, Namo Namaha here. Yeah, extreme Namaha. And so therefore, these are the ways in which people are embroiled. And here, Arjuna is being counseled. You don't go with the pack, Arjuna. This is kind of music to the ears of the people who in the Vedanta class. Because favorite activities were given up to come to class and to pursue Vedanta. And so this is finally kind of a validation of the person's pursuit. So, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Sarveshu Vedeshu, in all the Vedas, what is there? Karma and karma phala. That's what is the connection. You do some action and then you get some fruits of the action. Action is finite or infinite? Finite. And therefore the fruits are finite also. What you want is the infinite, so you keep going in circles. So, Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. Vedaha, Sarveshu Vedeshu, Karma and karma phala is the only two things that are there in this cycle of pursuing the karma phala, like the carrot cake, which you never get, okay? Which is never enough. And then what? But you don't be part of this pleasure power hunter. You don't go on this royal hunt of pleasure and power. Armed with the rifle called first portion of Veda. You don't go hunting. So what should I do? Nistraigunyo bhava. You be free of this, that which the Veda exemplifies, which is the relentless cycle of karma and karma phala, is called Traigunya Vishayaha. I'll explain that, just take down the translation. Nistraigunyo bhava Arjuna. This is the way to get out of the pleasure and power cycle, seeking cycle. Because even in the subtlest of pursuits there is power, The person does seva and then looks around to see who is seeing. I hope somebody saw me doing seva. See, there also there is power pursuit. There is need to be noticed, all these things. So, Nistraigunyo bhava Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, oh Arjuna, please be beyond these three gunas, which these gunas I'll explain in detail. This sattva, rajas, tamas, which signify the linking between karma and karma phala, which is exemplified by the first portion of all the Vedas. And not only that, nirdvandvo bhava, that bhava we have to bring it down. Nirdvandvo bhava. Dvandva means always bouncing between opposites. Dvandva, opposites. And whenever nis is added, it negates that. Nirdvandvo bhava. Get yourself free out of this dyads. Hot, cold, happy, sad, angry, calm. This is how the person identifies oneself. Get out of this rubric of opposites. Nirdvandvo bhava. And nitya satvastha bhava. Nitya satvastho bhava. Sattve tishtati iti satvastha. The one who remains in sattva. We'll see this in detail, but just write, the translation. Remaining always in sattva, give up the addiction for the opposites. Niryoga kshemo bhava. Yoga and kshema. We have seen this. What is yoga? Not asana here, not karma yoga here. When it is coming with kshema, what is the definition of yoga?
Holding on to, attaining and holding on to. Acquisition and acquisition and maintaining.
Acquisition and retention. So, apraptasya praptam, apraptasya praptihi yogaha. Gaining what one doesn't have is called yoga in this particular context. This is not karma yoga. Whenever it is used with kshema and praptasya rakshanam, protecting, the retaining what one has is called kshema. So here, this is what everyone does. Gets what one doesn't have and wants, and then gets rid of other things what one doesn't want, and then protects, has the pressure to protect what one wants and what one already has gained with great difficulty. So, nirdvandvo bhava, nitya sattvastha bhava, niryoga kshemo bhava. Be the one for whom yoga kshema do not matter. Very nice. And then finally, atmavan bhava. Atmavan literally means the one who has atma. That means everyone. Everyone has atma, is atma. Here atma doesn't mean atma. Atma means the one who has mastery over oneself in the sense of the body-mind-sense complex. Yuktaha ityarthaha. Whose mental frame is one of equanimity. Okay? So this is a formula for getting out of the Veda addiction. And Veda here symbolizes what? The first portion of the Veda, which symbolizes the endless cycle. Something else goes in a cycle. What is that? Samsara. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha means it is replete with samsara. And what is samsara other than the dancing of the three gunas? This is what I told you. The whole Jagat is painted with the Maya's paint brushes. Maya has three primary colors. Coloration. What are they? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Out of this, all the Nama Rupas derive from Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And this is what keeps one in samsara. These three gunas capture one and push them in the upadhi and close the lid on top. So that this Chaitanya, this consciousness, what happens to this consciousness? It automatically identifies with the body, mind, sense complex. Power of Maya. And what is this Upadhi? This Jiva's Upadhi is what? What is Jiva's Upadhi? Avidya. Yes. Don't say each Jiva has separate Upadhi. That is true. That is true. But we are talking of what is the common Upadhi for all the Jivas. No self-knowledge. That is the Upadhi. No self-knowledge means what? Self-ignorance. Self-ignorance is the stock Upadhi of every Jiva. That's why the Jiva feels I am in the stocks. This is the stock Upadhi of every Jiva. And therefore, and what keeps this avidya in place is this three gunas, are these three gunas. Why? Because they make the world very attractive. The world glitters, glimmers, shimmers, and attracts. Yes, come here, take me, taste me, have me in your house, see what I can do. I'll make you famous. No, take me instead. Each thing shouts out in the mall. Take me home with you. No, but I can't afford it. Yeah, but you have credit card, pay for it. We'll see later. Don't worry. You have what for is the plastic? Use the plastic. Take me home. But how will I repay you? Don't worry about that. Take me right now. This is what is Traigunya Vishaya. Because the three gunas, the colors of the palette, it's just like some ancient paints. They have found out that in some old, in some era in India, I think the murals that were made in the caves, they were made with crushed gemstones. The paints. Yeah. Powdered sapphire stuffed into the little crevices of the etchings in these caves and in these temples. So they never dull. How can they dull? They are already there. They are not gemstones. So they are not bothered by sunlight. They are impervious to water. So they continue to shine. So like this, Maya's palette is ever fresh. The colors don't dull with age. The colors are just like, vibrant, neon. Everything is just, attractively placed in the Jagat. So Traigunya Vishaya Veda means anything that is active. The principle of activity is called Rajas. In imbalance, it becomes anger and recklessness. Everybody has Rajas. Don't say Rajas is bad. Without Rajas, you cannot walk to class. Cannot come to class, cannot sit down, cannot do anything. So activity, the principle of activity is Rajas. In imbalance, it degenerates to anger, restlessness, violence even. That's what you interview people who are in the jail on death row because they have taken the life of another. And they will say, most of them, this interview was done in India in Tihar jail, and most of them said, I don't know what came over me in that moment, in that day. I don't know what happened. And people who had killed their mothers, their in-laws, their wives, their children, all these men, and they were taught meditation, and they were then interviewed, and each one of them unanimously said, I was as though possessed by this violence. So this is Rajas, and Rajas in imbalance. So in the balanced way, it means activity. It also means creativity, because without Rajas, that little plant, the shoot of the plant cannot, that's why we call it shoot, because it, against all odds, it shoots forth from the earth. Even the small blade of grass has to have Rajas to come out. If it has tamas, it will never come out. You see, it is fascinating. So Rajas is activity, it is also creativity, in a certain sense, creativity connected to action, the creativity that leads to action. And then Tamas is the principle of inertia. Inertia means what? Yeah. In imbalance, it is sorrow, it is depression, and what else? It is apathy, all this in imbalance. But tamas also one needs, otherwise if you don't sleep at night, and sometimes in class, how will you feel fresh? How will you feel fresh? Tamas is needed. Tamas is that downtime that allows that body to go to a place of rest, a hibernation. It's important. So then we have rajas, tamas, and then finally sattva. Sattva here means what? A kind of a contentment, a contented, contemplative state of mind is called sattva. Everything in the world can be divided into these three. You take foods, for example. Foods, what is an example of a sattvic food? Anyone knows? Fish?
No, fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh fruit.
So, yeah, fresh.
Rice.
Yes, rice is very sattvic. Yes. Yogurt, little rajasic. Yeah, because it has that sourness. Yeah. Milk, sattvic. Rice, sattvic. You see, there is something about it. And milk and rice together. When you make the milk pudding, very sattvic. Yeah. And what are some example of rajasic foods?
Chili, sugar.
Chili. Sugar, I would put it under tamas, because first rajas and then tamas. So, chili and the red meat comes under this category. Red meat, rajasic. And what else? Oh, you got the idea, And then, what else? Tamasic foods. Yeah. Leftovers. Oily, fried food. Fried means like literally double fried food.
Garlic.
Yeah. Garlic rajasic and tamasic both, yes. And things that incite, things that make one want to go immediately to sleep, even without Vedanta class. That drastic. So, this is what is called tamasic foods. And same thing in behavior. We see this everywhere. Think of behaviors. What is a tamasic behavior? Sleep. And also apathy. Would you like to do this? Do you want to go eat at this place? Do you want to see this? Why not do this? Not because of vairagya, but because of tamas. And then rajasic behaviors, how dare you do this? What's wrong with you? Fire off everyone that you see. Rajasic behaviors. And violence at the very extreme. And then sattvic behavior. What's a sattvic behavior? Calm, giving, unafraid, maybe feeling insecure, but has a relative feeling of security even through the insecurity. Contented, compassionate. These are all sattvic behaviors. So we see this, in the same person, all three abide and come out at various times, Sometimes together, I want to give, but I want it for myself. Here, no, you can't have it. So these are rajas and sattva fighting it out inside. So like this, we have even on the level of behaviors, foods, and things, colors. Red, rajasic, bright red, rajasic color. So you want to wear red when you want to be on the go. This makes a difference. You want to wear red when you want to be on the go, you want to get things done, you want to feel on top of the world, wear red. You feel like you're productive, wear red. And then what? And then tamasic. What is an example of a tamasic color? That is what is in fashion, unfortunately, to be dressed in black from head to toe. Black. New York, California, everywhere. Everyone is in black constantly. Last time when I went to California, I said, what are they? First I thought they were all wearing a uniform. I thought maybe this conference has a uniform. But no, they were just uniformly dressed, that's all. Everyone wears black from head to toe. But that's actually a tamasic color. And what it does is that it absorbs all the colors. That's what black is. So it absorbs everybody's emotions as well, really, in a certain sense, because it's unable to, it's a hoarding color. So that is a tamasic color. What's an example of sattva? Pink and white and, even purple, sattvic. There is something very sattvic about purple. That's why the royalty use it. So, like this, even in the colors, we see these qualities. And so, it's not a small thing to say that the entire Jagat is just made up of these three qualities. So that means Arjuna is also having the influence of these qualities in his life, correct? He also goes to sleep, he also gets angry, he also gets sattvic once in a while. And so, what is the difference? What is he being told when he is being told, Nistrai Gunyo Bhava, be out of reach of these three gunas? How to do that? While remaining in samsara, how do I free myself of these gunas? How is it even possible? Nistrai Gunyo Bhava. Don't come under the spate of these gunas. Don't come under their spell. But how? That is given in the very next expression. Nitya sattvastho bhutva nistrai gunyo bhava. The two are connected. We should see the connection. Because not only do these colorations, sattva, rajas, tamas, they not only do they exist and they are ubiquitous, meaning they are everywhere, they are also extremely hierarchical. There is a hierarchy there. What comes first? Sattva. Then rajas. Then it deteriorates to tamas. And from the other side, tamas, rajas, sattva. So then, when he says, Nistrai Gunyo Bhava, don't come under the influence of these three gunas, meaning don't come under the influence of samsara. Samsara is nothing but these three gunas. An overkill of these three gunas is equal to samsara. This is what samsara is. Samsara means just always dabbling in rajas, tamas, little bit of sattva and more rajas, more tamas, little bit of sattva here, there. Because sattva means contentment. Samsara doesn't have contentment. So samsara is heavily oriented towards, ODing on what? Rajas and tamas. So therefore the trick to be in samsara but not be off of samsara, meaning have that space from samsara even while living in this jagat, is to catch hold of that guna which is already your very close to or already your nature. There is an interface of sattva and your swarupa. What is your swarupa? All secure, giving, content and compassionate. Correct? That is your nature. And what is sattva? Same. So there is a very easy interface between sattva and swarupa. Atma swarupa and sattva are closely aligned. So I work my way up from tamas to rajas to sattva. From tamas you cannot go directly to sattva. That's why you see even in the behavioral, in the psychological order, this is very evident. You know what is evident? Is that first the person is very apathetic and is disconnected and is just going on in life and then gets very angry. Has to deal with the anger and then becomes shanta, quietens down, is it not? Yes. Because otherwise, from tamas you cannot go to sattva. You have to graduate to rajas, then thrash around, work with the anger, work with the restlessness, and then graduate further to sattva. This is what Arjuna is being told, that instead of becoming a yo-yo in samsara, you graduate and stay with sattva. This is not strictly nistraigunya, because you're still in sattva. That's very interesting. I'll talk about that in a bit. You're still in sattva. Somebody asked, how to give up sattva? Because sattva also has to be given up. This is nistraigunya bhava. Don't be under the influence of the gunas. Sattva is not given up. Sattva is integrated into oneself. It naturally integrates because of the cool interface between Swarupa and Sattva. Your Swarupa is really Sattva. Whatever is Sattva is your Swarupa. Therefore, by having, this is the beauty of it. So, Nitya Sattva Stha means not just in the behavior, in the demeanor, in the thinking be Sattva in your food habits. Very important. And it has been demonstrated that in poor areas where they push certain things which we don't even see in certain other areas, like that, what is that? Malt, liquor, and so many other things. They push the people to buy them. There is a correlation between ingesting these kinds of things and then acts of violence, especially by youth. This is something which is very troublesome. It's a very troubling trend in America, and this is something we have to understand, that there is a correlation between you are what you eat, really. That's what you are. And if you have any doubts about that, give up something for a while and then take it. Stop taking it for some time. If you're taking some, I don't know what to give an example of, sugar, for example, sugar or caffeine or something. You give it up completely. Don't drink coffee, at least for 6 weeks, and then you drink it and observe what happens. You have so much electric current in your body, you can power a small city. This much is there, out of this strong caffeine, for example, which you don't notice if you are drinking it every day. Same thing, whether it is soda, caffeine, or a particular kind of food, all this you have to watch carefully, and when you watch it, when you give it up for some time, and then bring it back in the diet again, then you see the difference. And then you see that this is something which is not, working for me. Or it is working for me, but it's right now I don't need it. So either way. So be sattvic, being sattvic, where Arjuna is told to be sattvic, not just in the foods, not just in the thinking, but in an entire lifestyle, habits, and what you ingest. Not through the mouth, not just through the mouth, through the nose. Smells can be rajasic, like what is that? One Indian scent which all the hippies used to wear. Patchouli. Very rajasic. The person can come and go, and even after 1 year the scent remains. Very strong. And that jasmine, that is very sattvic smell. That which you put the garland on the Lord, very sattvic smell. And then tamasic smells, let's not even talk about. So there is all these things. So everything in your whole lifestyle, the attitude with which you make choices, again sattvic choice, rajasic choice, tamasic choice, things that you ingest with the eyes, violent movies that begin with a scream and a knife, and movies that end with, record number of dead bodies. This is what tamas and rajas together, in a symphony, orchestra. And then tamasic movies, rajasic movies. And same thing, what you hear with the ears, heavy metal music, very rajasic. And first you're angry, and then because it makes you angry and you don't want to be angry, then you start doing something else. And that rajasic behavior morphs into tamasic behavior because Perhaps that anger is downed with some food, which one really should not be eating and doesn't need to eat, but then to stuff the anger, literally, one starts to eat. You see? So, that is the Rajasic, music, smells, tastes. Like all this in certain parts of India, the cooked food arrives and they will not even taste it. They will not taste it. You should taste the food first and then see what it needs. They will not taste it. They will have on this side 5 or 6, small. And the smaller the chili pepper, the more dangerous it is. Yeah. The Thai chili peppers, the Thailand chili peppers. My God, if you even smell them, then you have to go wash your face. They are very potent. So they'll have that Indian version of the Thai peppers, mean green looking things, right by the plate. This is in Bengal, Orissa, all these places, East India. And then what? They will take it by the little stalk, and then one rice and whatever, dal or whatever they have, mixture, one of that and one of this, and one of that and one bite of this. Yeah, this is what it is, And so those things that make, because the mind is a very subtle, instrument. The mind being an extremely subtle instrument, and everyone is a very sensitive jiva. Before one is deadened by an overflow of tamasic and rajasic elements. Every jiva comes into the world very sensitive to its atmosphere. But this is deadened by all the tamasic choices one makes. So here Arjuna is asked to go back to his state of that sensitive jiva, and a sensitive jiva is the one who is responding to his or her environment instead of reacting to it. There is very little reactivity, there is a response, and one is in touch with oneself to notice what is agreeing with me, what is disagreeing with me, why is this happening, should I continue with this, should I alter this, should I stop this, what should I stop? All these things can only take place when one is in touch with oneself. And here Arjuna, when he is told, Nitya Sattvasthaha, he is told, please be more in touch with yourself, who you are really. And limit the intake of this world coming through the gateways of the eyes, ears, nose, mouth. These are the 5 windows. The 5 senses, the Jnanendriyas, are the 5 windows with which you take the universe inside you. And the more you intake, the more toxic it can get. So therefore, intake choosily. Choose what you are going to intake. Be very discriminate in your choices. Nitya Sattvasthaha. Because that sattva is very close to the nature that I am going to unfold, and I have been unfolding, O Arjuna. That sattva is you already. And since that sattva is you, and you don't know your nature, you are still in the process of knowing, hang on to sattva, because you know what sattva is like. Sattva is not reactive. Sattva is not having all kinds of embroiled and clawing and needy and attached to this, that and the other. Sattva is bright, strong, life-giving, independent, compassionate, quiet, contemplative and content. This is you. And so this is already you. So catch hold of all the sattvic things in the world and surround yourself with that. This is, people keep saying, what does Vedanta in action look like? This is Vedanta in action. I want to know myself, and so therefore I surround myself with, I make the kinds of choices which take me closer to what I already am. Very simple, but very profound. So Nitya Sattvastha, when should I live in Sattva? One day I'll make sattvic choices. Tomorrow back to Tamas. No, Nitya, always. Always be in Sattva, meaning being in Sattva means leading an uncomplicated life. Uncomplicated life, a life that is free of complications. Some complications you cannot avoid if you have a job, if you have to pay bills, if you have to maintain a household and maintain relationships. Some complications are there. But I don't put fuel in them. Yeah. I don't put indhanam, I don't put ghee. Somebody argues and they scream and rage and rant and rave, and then what? I put ghee into the fire. Meaning what happens? Everything is, it becomes from a small little fire, which would have gone out on its own, it becomes a glaring conflagration. So this is where the whole nitya sattvastha means that I let go of the complications in my life because my focus is on the knowledge. So anything can become infinitely complicated. The day-to-day relationships, food can become complicated. You stand in front of the fridge and look. How long? Many times, many minutes, because you can't decide, what to have, what to make, what to cook. If I cook this, then that will happen. If I do this, that will happen. Yeah. This is how to complicate life. But instead, just buy the same things, Same things. You need some food groups. Groups are there, protein, and what is that? Carbohydrates, carbies, and then protein, carbs. What else does the body need? Fruits, whatever it is. And then the food becomes a no-brainer. You just take and cook. That's all it is. Instead of worrying, okay, if I do this, yesterday I ate that, should I eat the same thing today? But yesterday this was not good and that was not nice. And so instead of getting into complications, be sattvic in your choices. Not only have you chosen sattva, but the manner of making the choice is also sattvic. And so, make life uncomplicated. And when is life, when do the complications go out of life? When there is a discipline, which is very important. When I get to this point, people start leaving the class sometimes, because discipline evokes some scary imagery of being in a zenitentiary, so this is what the whole thing is. I don't want to go do this, I don't want to do that. I want to be free enough to have indigestion, and free enough to sit in the bathroom for the next 3 days. First, free enough to consume pakodas for 3 days in a row, and after that for the next 3 days, don't emerge from the restroom. And then what? 1 week of the life gone. No need to make choices. So what is this freedom which has caused you, your stomach lining? Is this the freedom that you really want? So the discipline here is not instituted by some authority figure. This is one's, the childhood comes into, bedtime. The mother makes the child drink milk. Therefore, you don't even want to look at milk the rest of your life. And then and then there are certain foods that are pushed, spinach, etc. And Popeye not withstanding, you just don't want to. You say, I don't want those muscles that fellow has. I will not eat this gooey green stuff. Finished, This is what the whole thing is. So the discipline, and each time one is reacting to the word discipline, what is happening? What is happening is a tamaso rajasic reaction. Tamasic and Rajasic. Tamasic because it's from a long time ago. It's a frozen rebellion against the mother and the father, against the caregivers and the guardians, which is being hashed out now as a form of rebellion, in because of which one is not able to make choices which are self-affirming and uncomplicated. This is the problem with discipline. This is what discipline evokes. Discipline evokes the tamasic fears and pains from the past and the rajasic rebellion from the now or from the past, both, as a result of which one is unable to make sattvic choices. This is what happens. So therefore, discipline here is, now we have to understand that, one is whatever, one is an adult, at the very least, one is an adult, and I'm not going to let all the inner children come in the way of this decision. They can all sit there. I'm going to stick their pacifiers in their mouth, all of them. Let them all just sit there and be busy, chewing on those pacifiers. And I, the adult, makes the choice to surround myself with calm, quiet, affirmative, influences, starting with food, clothing, everything. And I make the discipline, for myself, which is akin to the needs of my body, my mind, my senses. So it is a discipline that is tailor-made for me to become more sattvic, to bring out that sattva within me. This is what the whole thing is. It's very, very important. And so this discipline has to be there. There should be a time for eating. Otherwise one is, grazing all the time. There should be a time for sleep. Not that one day I sleep at 1 a.m., the next day I sleep at 2 a.m. and then I'm tired all day. There is a time to sleep. There is a time for everybody needs a certain amount of sleep. And if you're in touch with it, you know how many hours those are. Everybody needs certain amount of food, and the food also there are timings. And that is what makes it sattvic, because the discipline is what makes it sattvic. And this is the time to be quiet. This is the time to not answer the phone. This is the time to just go within. This is the time for prayer. This is the time for laughter. This is the time for movies. This is the time for rest. Everything has a place. And then the body thrives in this routine. Everybody needs a routine, and based on this routine there is freedom. And even if you go away from the routine, like if you travel or if you go somewhere to a friend's house, okay, the diet is different, something is different, doesn't matter. But then you are still, the body is used to a certain routine and it will remain in that way. Because otherwise the tongue, all these wanting things without disciplines, they are going all over the place. This is the problem. Yeah. So nitya sattvastha. I have skipped nirdvandho, we'll come back to that. So nitya sattvastho bhava. How to be traigunya, nistraigunya is by nitya sattvastha. How to overcome the influence of the three gunas is by catching hold of sattva, which is closely, aligned with my own nature. That is how to do that. And how to give up sattva? You don't have to give up sattva. It's like sattva is akin to Harishchandra Danda. Who is Harishchandra? A king who was very truthful in ancient India, and whose truth was tested repeatedly by the devatas, and they took away his kingdom. Still he was very dharmic, truthful, and then they took away his his property, and then he went to the forest, and then they made him have a bad name. The devatas were testing him, so they gave him a bad reputation, so he had to leave the kingdom. He was wandering in the forest with his wife and small son, and then they also took away the son. And to earn his keep, he the only job he could get incognito was to be the funeral grounds keeper. And on top of that, the child dies. The hapless wife holding the body of the child comes and says, come on, you have to do this, you cremate him. And this man says, where are the fees? I have to give it to the boss. It's a piece of cloth or a bag of rice. And she says, you must be crazy. The only piece of cloth is what I have covering me. He says, you have to give that, because without payment, I cannot even burn the body of my own child. That would not be correct. And so as she's about to disrobe herself, the devatas come and tell him it's a test and restore his kingdom. So Harishchandra Danda means when, Harishchandra was the funeral grounds keeper, you need a keeper, because you can't just leave the body burning and go away. Because the bodies have all kinds of gases in them. dead bodies also. And along as the death, after death, as long as the body is kept, the gases keep growing actually. So therefore, the body will get up mid cremation. Yeah, it will get up suddenly. You think the person is come back to life. No. It's just that certain ways, everything under the skin, there's gases, and all of them, they make it sound like the person has got up. Then what do you have to do? The funeral groundskeeper takes a stick and repeatedly pushes the body back in the fire until the whole thing is burnt to ashes. After that, what use is the stick? Huh? You throw the stick also in the fire. That is what sattva is. First you need the sattva to push the other two rajas and tamas away and to push the body back into sattva again and again. Correct? You need sattva. Sattva is a tool, and then after that the tool is also consumed in that same fire of knowledge. The tool is also consumed. This sattva is what? Sattva is akin to your nature. Your nature is what is sattva. So if you are living your nature, then there is no need to drop the sattva. Sattva is not something that is dropped. So even though he says nistraigunyo bhava, we have to take it metaphorically and say, please don't be in samsara, O Arjuna. Please don't be under the spell of your likes and dislikes. Have a discipline, have a regimen, have a place to go, make your life uncomplicated. And what is the place to go? Go to sattva. We'll stop here a little. I think part 2 of seva is still left, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so part 2 of seva you can do for the next half an hour if you don't mind. So that will be a great help. And tomorrow we have Vedanta Dindima at 9:30 a.m. To noon, and then 3 o'clock we have Bhagavad Gita Jayanti celebrating 1 week late, and but celebrating nonetheless, and so that's from 3 to 6. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Harihi Om.
Gita Jayanti will only be live streamed.
Gita Jayanti will not be on Adobe, so don't come here, go there. Yeah. And what is the new one? The new one is this. What is that?
The new live stream.
Yeah, new dot live stream. New dot live stream.com. Yeah, so that's what you can